Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. The first thing I want to say before getting into this video, if I'm sniffling and snuffling throughout it, I apologise. Hay fever has well and truly hit and I am suffering. So now that's out of the way, I have a kind of a get ready with me to show you. I'm going to show you my everyday makeup that's just like my current go-to when I want to wear makeup. I don't wear makeup every day, but on the days I do wear makeup but I don't have a huge amount of time or don't want to put in a huge amount of effort, then this is what I've been doing. It's reasonably natural. Obviously I do need a fair amount of coverage, so there is a bit of coverage there, but for me it's quite a natural look. So let's get started. So my skin is already cleansed and moisturised, so I can go straight into my makeup. The first thing I'm going to do is prime, and recently I've been using 2 primers, which might seem a bit excessive. If you've got more normal skin, then you probably won't need 2 primers, but for me, I've got very combination skin, like my cheeks where I've got my rosacea get really quite dry, and then I'm quite oily in my T-zone, so I find I need 2 different primers to do 2 different bits of my face. The one I use in my T-zone is the Benefit Professional Primer. I just take a little bit like so onto my finger. You only need a small amount, especially if you're only priming a certain part of your face. Then I pat that in with my finger. And I just apply this on my nose, mostly on my nose, but a little bit on my chin and on my forehead. And I like to pat that in. As it's a pore filling primer, I find patting it in helps just to really get it into the pores so they are filled and your foundation or whatever you're putting on top of it won't settle into them. If I'm constantly looking downwards in this video, it's because my mirror is down here. This is the first time I've filmed in my spare room actually applying makeup, and where I used to film in my conservatory I had a proper table, so it was a bit easier, but I've kind of had to improvise with a little mini table here with a mirror stacked on a load of birch boxes piled up. It's a bit more of a makeshift setup. The second primer I use is this, which is the Becca First Light Priming Filter. This is just a little sample and it's nearly run out, and I'm desperately trying to stretch it out as far as it will go. But I think I am actually going to have to part with some money soon and buy a real one, which is annoying because this one's quite expensive. So again, I just take that with my fingers and apply this onto my cheeks, and I just rub that one in with my fingers. I find this primer is really hydrating, and before I was using this I did tend to find in this area of my cheeks where I get a little bit of dryness, my foundation would cling to my face a lot more, regardless of whether I've moisturised or not. And I found since using this, it really doesn't do that as much. The foundation just seems to glide over my cheeks, which is nice, but I have tried it on my whole face, never use it on my nose. My foundation just sinks straight into my pores, hence why I'm using 2. Next I'm going to colour correct. This is the Barry M Flawless Colour Correcting Wand. It is the green one. I'm not quite sure what the shade is actually called, but you can tell because it's the only one that's green. I've not used this before, but I've run out of my Kiko one that I normally use, which if you've seen any other of my makeup videos you'll have seen me use that. I just apply that where I've got my redness, which I have quite a lot. I have tried the Nip and Fab one of these recently, and I didn't really like that because it was way too green, like it showed through my foundation if I didn't wear a really full coverage foundation. So I'm hoping this one will be a bit better. It looks a bit less green, so we'll just see how it applies. I tend to just buff this into the skin using my fingers, as you can see. You could use whatever you want really, a brush or a beauty blender. I just find using my fingers the easiest. So yeah, I think I'm quite liking that. It seems to have neutralised my redness somewhat. So we'll see how the foundation goes over the top of it. And what I have been doing also recently before going in with foundation is just taking a bit of concealer. This is the Tarte Shape Tape, and applying it where my extra redness is. Just a small amount. But the foundation I'm using isn't a very heavy full coverage foundation, and I find on its own, even with the colour corrector, it doesn't quite cover my rosacea. So I've just been going in with this concealer because this is so full coverage before I put the foundation on, just to even my skin tone out a bit, and then the foundation doesn't have to work quite as hard. Obviously, if you don't have skin like mine, you won't need to do this step. And again, just patting that into the skin with my finger. Here you can see already my skin is starting to look a little bit more even and less red and angry. Right, next I'm going to go in with foundation. This is the Bourjois Healthy Mix. It's the Healthy Mix foundation, not the serum. This bottle's really manky, I do apologise. What I do is just bump it onto my face. So I don't really like putting foundation onto my hand or anything. I do that with my Estee Lauder Double Wear because it doesn't have a pump on it, so I have no choice. And I'm just going to take a foundation brush. This is the Morphe G6, one of these flat topped kind of buffing brushes. And I'm going to pat that into my skin. I really like this foundation. Like, it's my favourite drugstore one that I've tried. I haven't tried a huge amount of foundations yet, to be honest with you. Until recently I just wore my Estee Lauder Double Wear, but it's such a heavy foundation. I do love it, it's just quite heavy for every day, and like you can tell you're wearing a lot of foundation. But it does last really well, and it covers quite well as well. But yeah, I thought I'd try out a drugstore, the one that's a bit cheaper and a bit more natural. Obviously with my skin, I can't go for a hugely natural finish with my foundation. It still does need a bit of coverage in it. Hence why I didn't go for the serum one. This one is more like a medium coverage, I'd say. I'm going out to meet one of my old friends after this. I haven't seen her I've seen her about once in the last 5 years. We went to school together, and since kind of school and college we have kind of gone separate ways a little bit. She's moved away, gone to uni. I've kind of then gone out and got a job, stayed living near where we were originally from. So we haven't really seen each other much, but it'll be nice to go and catch up again and see what's changed in each other's lives in the last 5 years or so. Right, so that is my foundation done, so I'm going to move on to my eyes now. I always prime my eyelids, even on a day-to-day basis. Where I've got quite an extreme hood on my eyes and my eyelids are a little bit oily, I find if I don't prime, my eyeshadow just creases in like seconds. So I am using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This is the same one that I've been using for quite a few months now, and I do really like it. It's getting a bit low, so I might try something else soon. I have seen one that NYX were doing that I might try, because that's a lot more affordable than this. So yeah, I might try that afterwards. What I'm doing is I've just applied it onto my eyelid. I'm just buffing it in, or patting it in with my finger. Make sure I'm going all the way up to the brow bone and like the inner corner of my eye as well. Next I'm going with eyeshadow. I tend to go with a very neutral, easy look on a day-to-day basis. There's not a particular eyeshadow that is my favourite for this. I kind of mix and match. Today I'm going to use my Urban Decay Naked palette. I just find this is great for kind of simple everyday looks. I'm going to take the light shade, which is Virgin, and a Real Techniques base shadow brush, and I'm just going to take that all over the lid to set the primer. So I'm just packing it on. Then I'm going to take my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease brush and the shade Naked, which is this light brown shade, and just blend that through my crease. Because I do have hooded eyes, I tend to bring it a bit above the crease as well. Otherwise it's a bit pointless me doing this. But if your eyes aren't hooded, you don't have to bring it up as high as I do. You don't have to use an eyeshadow to do this. I sometimes use a bronzer to do this, the same bronzer as I'm using on my face. Especially when I'm travelling, if I can't pack a lot of things. That's an easy way of doing this. And it's just really simple. You just put the colour into the crease and blend it out. So it's really quite subtle, but it just gives your eye that little bit of definition. And sometimes I take the next shade, which is Buck, which is slightly darker, and a smaller crease brush, and buff that into the crease as well if I want a slightly deeper look, but I'm just going to leave it with this colour today. Just going to go for something really simple and easy. Then to make sure that is properly blended out, I'm going to take the shade Virgin again and a Makeup Revolution E103 brush. I'm just going to take that under the brow bone to highlight and to make sure that the crease colour is blended out properly. Next I am going to go back in with my Tarte Shape Tape and just apply that under my eyes. On an everyday basis I only use a tiny little bit of this because it is so full coverage. I find if I put too much on, especially with this foundation, it just overwhelms it a little bit. I'm going to take a damp Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge and just blend that out. This is dirty, I apologise. I'm once again slacking on cleaning my makeup brushes and sponges. Though if you watched my last video, which was a NYX haul, I got the NYX kind of on the spot makeup brush cleaner and I'm absolutely loving that for my eyeshadow brushes. If I'm using one that's quite pigmented and I can't dip it into another colour, just spray a bit of that on, wipe it off onto a towel. It is amazing, I love it. It has changed my life. I do feel like this sponge is a bit big for under my eyes at times. I might perhaps try a different one or one of those smaller ones. Especially getting up in here. I quite often have to go in with my finger to get up there. But I do love a sponge for blending out my under eye concealer. I don't love it as much for my foundation. I find with a brush I get a lot more coverage, which is what I personally need. But yeah, for my under eye concealer, I love these sponges. Next I'm going to set my face. I'm going to use the Rimmel Stay Matte powder. First I take a Real Techniques setting brush and just take it under my eyes. I know this isn't meant for under your eyes and I think I do need to try another product to set under my eyes because I do find my concealer still creases a bit when I'm using this. But I haven't got around to buying one yet. Well, I do have one, but it really flashes back in flash photography, which isn't that much good for using on YouTube. So this will have to do for now. And then I'm going to take the Real Techniques powder brush and just set the rest of my face. Next I'm going to go for brows. This is the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is the colour Espresso. If you watched my Cult Beauty haul that I did a little while ago, you saw I got this and I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. It has really grown on me since then. I wasn't sure about the colour when I first got it, but now I'm really liking it and I don't think the colour's that bad. So yeah, I'm enjoying using this. So what I do is I just take the spoolie on the end and brush through my eyebrows just to make sure they're all sitting in place. And then I take the other end, which is a little mechanical pencil, and just fill in my brows. This is going to be difficult to do because this mirror is quite far away from me, so if I go off camera, I apologise. I don't do anything too extreme with my brows day to day. Just fill them in a bit and then put a bit of brow gel over the top. Whereas I'll show you what I do. I filled them in and at this point they look really harsh, so I just go back in with the spoolie and go back through the brows again, especially at the front end, and just kind of blend the product out so it's not as harsh. Now I find that just makes them look a little bit more natural. And I'm going to use brow gel, but I like to do that last, just so I can do the rest of my face without worrying about getting wet brow gel all over myself. So I'm going to finish off my eyes now. All I tend to do on a day-to-day basis is curl my eyelashes, whack on some mascara, and I'm done. So these are the Kiko lash curlers. These are the only ones I've ever really used. I find they do work. I probably could get better ones, but I think they're about £3, so they are working for me for now. So the everyday mascara I'm using at the moment is the MAC False Lashes Extreme Black Mascara. I wouldn't say it makes me look like I've got false lashes on. I've got pretty short eyelashes anyway, so I don't think they're ever going to look false. But yeah, I find there are other mascaras which can make them look like a lot longer and fuller, which is why I use this as like an everyday mascara. So it's just something, they're not like natural, but more on the natural side than some of my other mascaras. My favourite, if I want really like voluminous mascaras at the moment, is the Tarte Manita mascara, which I've nearly run out of, and it's pretty hard to get hold of in the UK, so I'm really upset. So I do seem to have an eyelash that doesn't want to point in the right direction today, but never mind. We'll just go for the crazy look. So yeah, that's my lashes done. Nothing too extreme or crazy, just kind of a nice coating of mascara. Next I'm going to bronze and highlight. I don't tend to wear blush on a day-to-day basis just because I do have a lot of redness on my face, and with this kind of makeup it is still peeking through a little bit, so I don't feel like I need to add any more kind of pinky or red tones to my face. The thing I'm liking for everyday at the moment is this Manna Kadar little duo. It's got a bronzer and a highlighter. It's very kind of natural looking. The pan is tiny though, like this is kind of, I'd consider this an eyeshadow size. And this is full size. I got it in a Birchbox, but it is full size apparently. So yeah, that is tiny, but that's something to bear in mind. I'm just taking a bit of the bronzer on a blush brush by Real Techniques. I've only really recently got into bronzing, hence why I don't have a proper bronzer brush, and I really need to get one. So my blush brush is having to make do for now, but I'm sure I could find a better brush to do this with. I'm just applying that to all the parts of my face that would naturally bronze. I don't contour day to day because I find that a bit of a harsh look for day to day wear. I've never heard of this brand before I got it in my Birchbox, but I am really quite liking it. So I might have to see what other products they have. I'm not sure how readily available they are in the UK. I presume you can get them from Birchbox, as this came in my Birchbox. But I'll have to look into it. And I just like these because they're quite natural looking. This bronzer does have a little bit of a sheen to it. It's not completely matte, but it's not like sparkly or anything. So I still think it's nice. And I'm just taking it on my jaw and a bit down my neck as well. Now I'm just going to take the little highlighter out of here. This is the Zoeva 129 Luxe Fan Brush. This is quite a subtle highlight. So if you're into a really blinding highlight for every day, then this won't be the product for you. But just for a natural look, I quite like a subtle highlight. I don't even know if it's going to pick up on camera at all. It's really kind of just a bit of a sheen. But I quite like that. And I've been enjoying using this. I don't tend to like having a glittery, shiny face. Just if I'm going out for coffee or something like that. Like for a nighttime look, then yes, like give me all the highlight. But I'm enjoying this just for the daytime. So we're nearly done. I am going to set my brows. This is the Ico Brow Gel. Been using this for quite a while now and I do really like it. Although it can be quite pigmented, so I like to start in the middle of the brow with the main bulk of the product and then go out to the tail and the front of the brow, just because if you go straight in at the front I find it puts too much pigment in there and it's too much for my brows anyway. I've only really just recently got into doing my brows. I don't know like what was wrong with me before, but it does make such a difference, I think, personally. Because it's not like I have naturally bad brows. I think they're okay. Like they're quite full and dark anyway, but so I think that's why I'd never really bothered with it that much before, but just a little bit of like filling in and gel makes such a big difference. I like to set my face. This is the NYX Dewy Finish setting spray. I think I preferred my last setting spray, which was the Gerard Cosmetics Slay All Day. That obviously made it last longer. I think this is more of just making your skin look dewy than actually setting your makeup and making it last longer, so it's nice for that. But if you're looking for a setting spray to make your makeup last longer, then I wouldn't go for this one. And the spray is not brilliant on it. It can be it's a bit of a chunky spray. I mean, you want a really fine spray, but I get it's drugstore, it's cheap, so I guess that is to be slightly more expected. Just let that sink into my skin, but can you see like here? I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I've got, if you like, spots of like water. So at the moment I am absolutely loving this Clinique Chubby Stick in the shade Bountiful Blush. I find it's just a really kind of natural, easy to wear colour. Kind of, I don't know why I'm trying to talk while I'm putting this on. It's kind of like barely even makes a difference, but just adds that little bit of colour, and it's really comfortable and nice and easy to reapply when you're on the go. And this is the finished look. So I hope you like it and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you have, and leave me a comment down below if you have any thoughts or any more ideas on what you'd like me to film next. And if you'd like to see what else I have coming up, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.